Tales of the Lower Realms. So you want to know about the spiritual realms between heaven and earth. The places where mediums and psychics can pass if they so wish. The places where people get lost after death or while traveling the River Styx. These places harbor no safe haven and you venture at your own risk. Many diabolical beings make these places home and are there to take advantage of the weak souls there, or on earth that they can reach by using nefarious means that many are unaware of. They aim to sap the living energy out of human souls by way of fear, anger, depression and oppression, harnessing strong emotions that make one vulnerable to their desires and manipulations. This place is no place for the foolhardy, and many a soul has been extinguished here as recompense for their ignorance or what they call deals with the devil. Is it hell, you say? You can call it that. I call it the root or the realms of transition. A place between the most secure places for the human soul, heaven and earth. The only safe place along this route is the River Styx, and routes similar to it, for they are all guarded by the safeguarders of the Styx. These entities help to keep the traffic going and protect those on the route, but that is all they do. They do not venture out beyond the Styx to help those who have gone astray, or those who are in need, whether or not they are in hand's reach of the route. That is not their task. They are only there to protect those on the route. There is no mercy here, and those caught off the route, out there in the realms, have only their own guardians and entities to rely upon. So I tell you this. Stay on the River Styx. Stay on the chosen path. Do not dare leave it unless you have significant protection and powerful entities you can rely upon, for even the most powerful guardians will have trouble helping you here. I will tell you this. I do not know why I have always end up on the lower realms. It is definitely not my choosing. There are better places, I am told, not unlike heaven, but I rarely end up there. It is usually the places that have been destroyed or that are downtrodden that I go. I have been told that I have the spirit of a warrior, an ancestral line of psychics that goes back millennia, and I do have past lives in which my spirit warrior was a valuable asset, but with that said, to always end up in places where people suffer, where food and water is scarce, where the landscape shows no semblance of peace, just wasteland, does dismay me. When I awaken, this makes me pessimistic at times. Watching the starving, struggling victims of war or disaster does not appeal to me, but I have always been the one to help people, so I continue on. Let me tell you of one such trip. On one trip I had an adventure into the spirit realm in search of the rules that dictated it. I wandered about and off the main road, which served not unlike the River Styx. It was the only safe passage through this forlorn place. On my search, relevantly unhindered at this point by the many entities that wandered about, looking like undead and demonic creatures that you see in the most horrific movies, I found a man that was hopelessly lost. His confusion was apparent, and I took mercy upon him. I soon started helping him with his broken vehicle. Yes, they have vehicles down here, but they are usually just dilapidated wrecks. Existing is some sort of energetic state of the non-material down here in the spirit realms. As I began to aid him, I soon found several gruesome humanoids gather about, their decaying skin covering their parched, grotesque bodies. The ghastly things began to harass us, prodding and jabbing us with long shafts. The creatures could not come close at this point because of my protective spell that kept them at bay, but this did not stop the wooden shafts that they jabbed us with. Then even more gathered. The humanoids kept their distance, but I knew the protection I had set up would, even though it was powerful on Earth, would not last here, for the creatures' numbers would soon allow for it to spoil in this realm. The creatures were able to back us up into a dilapidated building where even more were gathered. I can only describe the creatures as something resembling what people call zombies, but these were much quicker and moved like humans do. I was able to escort the man with my limited protections, until an opportunity arose when I was able to find a way through a back room in the dilapidated building. We were able to force our way through a crowded lobby filled with even more of these beasts, and we finally made it outside. My protection spell had worked so far, but the number of apparitions now pursuing us was way out of hand. With luck, we were able to get back onto the path of the River Styx, and suddenly we were safe once again. Several of the guardians of the Styx asked Denny what had happened. These guardians were armored head to foot, clad in a panoply of red. They ensured me that I and the man I had brought back were now safe, but would do nothing more. There was no help for anyone who left the road. The ghastly humanoids made their way back to their lair. I looked on in dismay as I thought, we could have been spiritually devoured if we did not escape as we did. My sense of righteousness swayed me as I thought beings like this should be punished. I, being roughed up by them, could not battle them alone. I did not have the strength or the numbers to take on that grand task, so I called for help. Cali answered the call. For those who do not know her, she is feared by many, and for good reason. She is both the master of destruction and the cradle of creation combined. One should always understand her as a whole, for her reputation tends to shadow her vibrant side. This is just because fear grips humans so easily. Anything foreign to them has reason to be feared. Cali now stood before me. Her ebony skin tone like that of obsidian. Her hair was like that of a wild maiden, filled with righteous feminine anger because she was here. Her garments were revealing of her beauty. Her arms wielded the swords of justice. Cali's action was quick. She has always been one of few words when it comes to such beings of the lower realms. The humanoids did flee when she appeared. She stood facing them with her back up against me. Her touch was as soft and sensuous, and was no different than the many times she had used me as a vessel. Even in the presence of danger, her presence was calm, for it was not truly anger that drives her, but disgust for those of ill will. She faced my threat. The threat fled so quickly that all one could see was the blur of their dark silhouettes disappearing into the dilapidated buildings and shops that straddled the road. Cali pursued, myself watching through her eyes, as she now stood at the front door from which we came. Again the threat fled, vanishing like blurs, unwilling to confront the dreaded princess of destruction. She appeared at the back room's entrance. All was silent. She looked around in disgust and made her statement. With a flick of her sword she turned the floor the color of blood, searing into it the words, "Cali was here," in a translucent, shimmering obsidian. She then stepped into the front room and did the same. She came outside, and with a whirl of her swords and a spin of her frame, appearing almost like a dance, she created a wave of earth that glowed crimson, ripping through the ground, churning everything up from the ground, turning everything, the dilapidated buildings, the vehicles, the makeshift structures, the color of blood as they shattered into pieces. A howling cry of 1,000 hideous souls rang out as the wave spread, ripping through the earth in every direction, affecting everything on both sides of the road, sending disintegrating apparitions fleeing into the sky as they wasted away, their beings extinguished, here in this place. The only thing that remained was the River Styx itself and the beings traveling on it, seemingly unaffected by Cali's actions. Cali, satisfied with her work, turned to me and said, "You should be fine now," and then smiled, disappearing immediately thereafter. I continued on. I felt at peace in this desolate place, knowing I was protected. This place is no place for someone without significant protection, and allies will always be necessary. Till another tale presents itself, let peace be with you, and travel wisely. The Dragon Oracle has spoken.